What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Lucid. I want to go over some of the data points, what really moved it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So Lucid went down 1.68%, 1616 the low, 1678 the high, and a fair amount of volume. So 7.3 million shares being traded, 9 is the average. Of that 7 million, most of it was algorithmic trading, and it wasn't just Lucid. That was kind of the common scenario across the board. So today was just a artificially suppressed kind of day, and the reason why that did occur, it wasn't any macro data points that caused it, rather it was Palantir. So Palantir put out their earnings after hours on Monday, and even though they hit all the key metrics, gave very good future guidance, market just said, hey, you're too overvalued, and that did cause a domino effect across the board. So like I said, everything was just being artificially suppressed. Lucid did do fairly well. So for instance, Tesla did go down 5.15, Rivian did go down 5.23. Rivian's going up after hours. That is because of their earnings. So I don't know if that's more of a potential indication that Lucid will do fairly well. Lucid's going up a little bit during the after hours as well, just largely piggybacking off of Rivian. But nonetheless, there was no news associated to Lucid today, no SEC filings or press releases. A couple of interesting things did come out. One was this right here. And so it looks like Faisal Sultan did win Man of the Year. Very interesting stuff. So National Auto Award, and you already know many times in the past I speak very positively of Faisal Sultan, and to be fully honest, like I think he would make a pretty good CEO. That's if Lucid wants to switch that up. But then again, I think he's kind of at the same time good where he is. He's very knowledgeable about the Middle East. I don't know how kind of well suited he would be for CEO, but nonetheless, I think generally speaking, something needs to be done with Marc, and I don't know if they need to permanently place him in as full CEO, not just interim, but something definitely does need to be done. And of course, as I mentioned, Palantir did get hit, and instantly you have obviously 𝗪𝗧𝗧𝗧 popping on. So Ahmad did post this and just said that this is what a CEO needs to do, brave and blunt. And I think that's one thing that Lucid has always really struggled with, is that confidence from a CEO, because even under Peter, we all knew, it was very common knowledge that when Peter was lying, he would just start stuttering like crazy. Marc, he seems a little bit more confident, kind of holds up better in my opinion under stress, but he had a lot of high expectations, a lot of high hopes, and so far from what I can see, they're not really it's not living up to his kind of expectations. So I feel like something needs to be done coming from the CEO standpoint. So I'm just going to play this 1 minute clip because they do talk about shorts, and this isn't the first time Alex has actually brought up shorts and how he wants to go after them. One thing as well, before I actually play that, just so you're aware, currently 31.6% of Lucid's free float is being shorted. So 31.6%, that's crazy. Even today, shorts did increase about 326,000. So when 𝗪𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧 is going to be talking about Palantir's short interest, that is only 2.18%. So Marc, with it being 31 or 32%, he should be screaming on Bloomberg and just saying, hey, I want to go after shorts. And the thing is, Palantir has a lot of big partnerships, but when they started off, they had nothing. Lucid has the PIF. You have Big Brother behind you that you can just say, hey, you know what, Big Brother, go after them. Unless potentially all these institutions are shorting Lucid because of Big Brother, maybe. But I just wanted to play 1 minute of this. So shout out to Ahmad for kind of posting this. Definitely good stuff.
Trying to understand, just if you look at sort of the growth trajectory, the sales, how much of the sales, frankly, I think actually even there was a huge part coming from even existing customers, and just what the scale of this thing ultimately looks like in your mind.
Okay, there are two parts. Of course, when I hear short sellers attacking what I believe is clearly the most important software company in America, and therefore in the world in terms of our impact, simply to make money, and trying to call the AI revolution into question, where we have this anomalous numbers, 114, rule of 40, et cetera. It just is super triggering because these people, they could pick on any company in the world They have to pick on the one that actually helps people, that actually has made money for the average person, that is actually supporting our warfighters. Why do they have to go after us? And I'll tell you what, though, it's crazy motivating, because I'll tell you why the short sellers are constantly getting screwed by Palantir. Because every time they short us, we just are like tripling down on getting the better numbers, and part, honestly, to make them poorer. But okay.
That is pure confidence. And so that's something that Lucid really needs to say to shorts. Give them a warning. Say, hey, if you continue on, things aren't going to end well for you. So that's just my hope, at least. And so with Lucid's earnings tomorrow, that would be a pretty good transition for them just to do a side piece and just talk briefly about shorts. So that's just my opinion, but I feel like something definitely does need to happen. And one thing as well, I kind of just wanted to bring it up today, a little bit comical, because for those of you that are new to the channel, I just say it how it is. I have Lucid stock. I have obviously fluctuated over the last 5 years of me covering it. I've had more at certain times because, of course, if I see things not going according to plan, I'm not just going to dime in hand when I see something going down. That's not who I am. That's not what a true investor does. If things have changed fundamentally, then yeah, you need to adjust, right? But nonetheless, I guess this is why I've always stated some people only want to hear positives, and some people just want rainbows and sunshine shoved up your guys's, what's. Even this ghost trader, and I've kind of called out quite a few people. For those of you that see me on Twitter, I'm a little bit more of a troll, I guess, so to some individuals, because there's way too many pumpers out there, and most of them don't know jack all. But I guess I did call out Ghost Trader because he's been wrong pretty much 100% of the time. So at least he's consistent as far as that. But to say that I'm a short or I'm trying to kill Lucid's hype, I don't really see technically Lucid having any hype right whatsoever. So just for transparency, if I butt hurt you guys or whatever, if you guys are offended by me saying the actual truth of what the data points are saying, then you know what, there's other YouTubers, I'm sure, I don't even know if there are, covering Lucid. But if not, just interpret your own data. It's not that difficult. So I'm not here to get anyone to buy, nor am I here to get anyone to sell. All I'm doing is interpreting the data. So you guys do whatever floats your boat out there. So I just found this absolutely comical as hell. But nonetheless, when it comes down to it, it's going to be a pretty fun earnings tomorrow. So I'm going to be live streaming it. On a side note, looking at the options, 1.28 million in calls, 3.7 in puts, and then 52% of all the options being done were neutral in nature. And the reason why it's neutral is because big money was doing the options and it ate up both the bid and the ask. Current expected move is roughly around 11%, so 10.7%, and that's about $1.77 in either direction is anticipated. That's actually been a little bit more tame lately, so that's maybe a good thing. Possibly it kind of signals that Lucid, there's not really much more downside, because Lucid's been hit quite a lot. So just quickly showing you, so over the last 5 days, Lucid's down 7.27%. Over the last 1 month, down 33.56%. So definitely not great. And so this is why this kind of makes me chuckle that I'm killing Lucid's hype supposedly. But nonetheless, from a bull standpoint, post earnings, you do see a consensus for it to be roughly around that 18.50 to potentially now 20. And then the bears are anticipating for it to be sub, this one's kind of freaky, sub $13, but most of which is between that 14 to 15. So something to keep in mind. And as I've mentioned many times, this is why I always like to analyze the data and why today was artificially being suppressed. Algorithmic trading, hands down, is the most powerful tool out there, and big money and institutions use it to their benefit. Because if we kind of look here, we see a lot of big transactions, most of which are buys. One sell right here for 7.7 million. Everything else is a buy. So 2.8, 1.3, all buys. These are some of the transactions that did occur on the dark pool. Nothing too crazy and heavy. But then again, shorts didn't really do all that much, and shorts love to use the dark pool. So that was kind of quiet. As far as today, so with it closing at 1636, it is trading between this S1 and this S2. So 1532 is going to be a strong support. 1716 is going to be the next strong target / resistance. So based on that implied move from their earnings, anticipate potentially either of these to be touched. So it is going to be a fun earnings. So if you guys haven't taken the time to research options, definitely now is the time to do it, leading into their earnings, of course. And on the actual chart, the only real positive to bring up, as I've been open with you guys about, is stochastic RSI. It is very, very oversold. So you're not really seeing too much activity. It's been consistently below that 10-day moving average ever since it broke below that 50, and 50 is kind of a curse. And for those of you, again, that kind of have been following my channel, if you kind of just watch the data, ever since it was at 22, when you had a lot of people physically pumping it, saying, hey, you know what, we're going to go to 30, we're going to have a God candle. I have no idea whoever thought of the word God candle. Like that, again, is also another weird type of thing out there. But technically, every time Lucid breaks below that 50-day moving average, we were going to be heading to that 1650 to 1750. And lo and behold, that is exactly where we landed. A little bit lower than that minorly, but still, this is why it's important just to take the emotion out of investing and just look at the data. There's only so many times I can say this. And I've gone through these types of kind of battles with people back in 2023, or it might have been late 2022, when I saw some red flags start to pop up. I said it, people didn't like it, and labeled me as a bear. And honestly, I don't really care. I don't care if you guys call me a bear or anything. I'm here to make money no matter what. I don't short Lucid, but of course I kind of just do kind of more stricter covered calls, essentially, if in some cases. So going into this earnings, I do have 19 and 1950, and I might be writing one possibly tomorrow, but that's why I have for covered calls going into the earnings. So that's kind of how I see the upside being potentially, but hopefully I'm wrong and it goes to, let's say, 20, 22, or $100 with the God candle. Looking at the market position, though, you don't really see that much willing buyers. So it still looks like a lot of willing sellers. So Lucid really needs to come hit a home run in their earnings, and ideally have some interviews planned as well, and have Marc or whoever potentially out there just say, hey, shorts, F you, we're coming for you, and blah, blah, blah. That's literally, I would be so happy if that happens. Plus, if they actually ask that question about bankruptcy, somehow that will make my day. Like, if they actually answer that question, and on a, like, I'll show you guys just on a side note, because that will honestly make my whole week. That'll make the rest of my year if they can actually bring that up. So right here, actually, I think it goes based on top voted. So number 4, oh, they moved to number 5. Hopefully they still ask it though. But what are the chances of Lucid going bankrupt? So Mod asked that. If Lucid ever answers that question, I will start drinking right in front of you guys. That's worthwhile of a shot. So let me know your viewpoint on that. What's your expectations for Lucid's upcoming earnings? I know this video is a little bit longer. My apologies. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.